So, Oakley Dokley neighborinos, I was watching Shaman Oaks here. Okay, sorry about that. So I was just watching Shaman Oaks here, and he was talking about reincarnation, past lives, his DMT trip and all this. All very interesting, but then, I was just scrolling down through the videos like this, and I saw this video. Yeah, I'll put it to the top. Past life regression, burned at the stake. Sorry, just clearing my throat. So you see his other video there, past life regression, burned at the stake. And it reminded me of a video I did about a year ago where I started to explore the idea, and I have since made another video talking more about this, but I have to get my computer back to get the files and upload that one, where I said in the second video I haven't uploaded yet, and in the first video, which is online, which is one of the how to detect organic portal videos, and it's the one I mentioned that they're stagnant people. And in that one, and what I'm talking about is the idea that when the Bible says, or when everybody is assuming, actually this is the way to say it, everybody is assuming that the Bible, when it says the tares or the tares are the soulless humans. Now, I think someone needs to go ahead, because I don't read the Bible much. I think someone, one of you Bible people, religious Christian people, need to get these passages and make a video for the organic portals movement. If you don't do it, I'm going to soon. So it's an opportunity for you to make a video and beat me to it. But I think we need to explore the actual Bible verses which talk about the tares or tares properly. And I think it's, a good idea if I interpret it. I mean, I think most of you are going to agree with that, because you're on the channel listening to me. So yeah, I really want to interpret those sentences from the Bibles, the paragraphs, the verses, whatever, that talk about the tares or tars or tares, however you're meant to pronounce it, I'm not sure. But these tares are supposed to be the soulless humans, the organic portals. That's what everybody is assuming and saying, but I have seen absolutely no video with any even circumstantial evidence or any sort of philosophy going over it, or even a video with the verses there, with someone reading it and showing you where it says it in the Bible. So if it mentions it in several spots, this is why, I think we need to get someone else, not me, to do the video initially and show the verses, because I have no idea where they are in the Bible, and I don't want to read the whole thing just to find, a couple of sentences which mention tares. So if there's anyone out there who's like a Bible scholar, I implore you, please, I encourage you to make a video just showing the verses. You're welcome to give your philosophy, obviously, but the least I want is to see these verses, to actually physically, read them. And there's no videos up yet in the Organic Portals movement which shows the verses where it says in the Bible, the tares are this or that, or I don't even know, does it say they're soulless? Because I think everybody's just assuming that. And then there's this whole thing from the Hylic, the moniker Helix, which I believe is also mentioned in the Bible. I'm not sure. But look, back to this video here by Shaman Oaks, the past life regression, and how he's saying, obviously he's saying there by the title, that he was burned at the stake. Reminds me of a video I did a year ago called How to Detect Organic Portals, I think. And it's a black screen because I was videoing at night time in the middle of the night, where I said, another way to detect organic portals, soulless humans, is by their stagnant nature, like how stagnant they are and unmoving in their life. And in the end of that video, because I recently saw it and viewed it, I thought, let's see what I said a year ago. And by the end of the video, I actually went into talking about how I don't think, now this is the important part of this video, how I do not think the Teres or Tars or Teres are the soulless ones. Because in the video, the second video, like discussing this idea that I think the organic portals are the wheat, they're not the tares, I think they're the wheat, because that makes complete sense and much more sense. And here's why, and this is what I also slightly said and covered, which is relative to the Shaman Oaks video burnt at the stake, in the year ago video on how to detect organic portals, where I near the end mentioned what I'm saying now, the idea of this video, about how I think that the organic portals are not the Teres, but they're the wheat. So the Bible also mentions the wheat, doesn't it? That's also from the Bible, isn't it? But then I mentioned that, you know, Terence McKenna had this this little sentence he spoke one time, this little phrase, and he said, well, it's like you can part these people like wheat. And what he means is ideologically, you know, it's like you can part, you know, he didn't use the word organic portals, he just meant dumb people, right? He said, you know, it's like you can part these people like wheat. It's like they're made of denser stuff than us. What am I always saying about the organic portals? That they're just third dimensional or second dimensional body people. They're not spirit, like spiritual people. They're not spirited. They're not accessing their higher self spirit, light body, or the Christ light body, right? So this all makes complete sense, and this is just another like confirmation of this, where he's saying that he was burned at the stake. Obviously, Shaman Oaks is a souled human and not an organic portal. Another point before we get back into what I was saying is look at his nose, because that's where everybody went wrong at the start. Even the Edwin Manor channel saying that, you know, we know the soulless Taris by their nose. And then people, I had one person comment recently under one of my videos, oh, you've got the Tari nose. So I think that's all wrong, and it doesn't lead anywhere. So I'm prepared now to, you know, make my little conclusion that that's wrong. That I think the soulless humans are the wheat. The wheat, think about it. The unmoving wheat field. Think about Terence McKenna's quote, you can part these people like wheat. In other words, they don't give resistance. Do you understand? There's no ideological resistance where they argue back, because they've got nothing to argue with. As we know, we call them illogical or sick logic, illogical and psychopathic humans. And so, you know, when they're illogical, when you argue with these organic portal people, you'll always get the same thing, over emotional reactions and avoidance of logic. And when you present, you know, the logical argument and you stick to it through your arguing with them about whatever the argument is you're having with them, they always have to back out or get emotionally violent and so on. But they never can logically stand, ideologically, logically back up to you. So that makes complete sense what McKenna was saying. It's like you can part these people like wheat. You know, when you're walking through a wheat field, wheat doesn't exactly, you know, give you much resistance. You see what I'm saying? Plus, it's a big field of the illusion of similarity, which I made a video about on organic portals. Do you understand? You know, you walk into a wheat field, all the wheat looks the same. The illusion of similarity, which I talked about, and how we know that they, you know, the organic portal's hive mind wants to assimilate you, essentially like the Borg out of Star Trek, to make everyone the same. This is the Agent Smith virus from the movie The Matrix, right? Agent Smith goes around, makes everybody the same, even turns the Oracle into an Agent Smith, or the same as him. So I made this video, The Illusion of Similarity, where I was talking about, you know, the human body as the surface of reality, and how there's like that illusion that we're all the same on that level, and that all ties together with what I just mentioned in the sentences just before this. So yeah, this video is really just to reiterate this, and I'm like here concluding right now, right? So you may disagree still, that's you, that's fine. But in my opinion, so you can quote this, I believe, or I think, or it seems to me to be the case that the organic portals are not the tares, but the wheat. Because the tares, and I mentioned this in the video too that I haven't uploaded yet, think about it. To tear away, to rip the mundane plane, what we do on psychedelics every time, what we do when we create DMT at night in our sleep, or meditatively breathing, we create DMT, the most powerful molecule, that psychedelic molecule we know of, and also called the spirit molecule. So DMT is relevant to talk about. And it's funny, I found this by this DMT experience trip here by Shaman Oaks. Then I scroll down and I get this confirmation. Past life regression, burned at the stake. So he was clearly like a witch, burned at the stake. And in video 1, where I mentioned this whole idea of OPs being the wheat, not the tares, in that how to detect organic portals video I did like a year ago, in 2018, I also said in that video that it makes more sense that, the tares were like the witches and just outcasts, because the Bible and religion, all they are is mind control or mass, people control. They're control systems. Yes, there is some enlightenment embedded in there, but the King James Bible was edited like 10 times over 100 or 200 years or whatever it is. My point is, it's heavily edited by men with motifs called kings who ruled over the wheat of people. Do you see it now? The people used to be very dumb. They didn't have universities back in the Dark Ages. Do you see what I'm saying? There wasn't, I had free education in Australia. There's free education in Uruguay, for instance. That wasn't around then. People were quite stupid, They were like wheat. You could just do what you wanted with them if you were the king or a knight or something. Do you understand? So they behaved more like wheat. And so I keep seeing this idea of the wheat being much more apt and applicable than the idea of organic portals are tares. And the only place we've heard that organic portals are tares is in religious people's videos. Check it out in the organic portal search term in YouTube. Check out the people who have mentioned organic portals as tares. It's like, I think, Edwin Manor, and he appears to me to be religious. I'm not sure about that, but he appears to be. And then there's that other guy who talks about serpent seed, who has the Spreaker, like he made his video with Spreaker, and he's clearly religious when he's talking about it. So there was one other video which had like 1 like and actually more dislikes than likes, which I'm happy about, that mentioned that the organic portals are the tares, not the wheat. And I think people, it was a very short video, and I think everybody inherently felt that that guy was like unconsciously saying it, and he didn't back it up with anything. It was like literally a 30-second video. It's probably way down the bottom of the organic portal search term by now, like probably buried under like 1,000 videos deep. You probably have to scroll, down forever. But yeah, maybe that video is still up, I don't know. So there's 3 references I've given you and some quotes. So what I'm doing here is building actually like a basis for the conclusion. So I'm not just, just randomly, unconsciously regurgitating what the Bible has said, which was edited by men with motifs, yeah. Kings, King James, yeah. King James, ring a bell? That's a king. Do you understand what I'm saying? To rule over the people, right? To rule over the wheat. The tares, or the tares, like I mentioned in video 2, which I haven't I mentioned it in video 1, that how to detect organic portals video. Near the end of that, where I talk about how you can detect them by the stagnant people, and then in the end I go into this idea that I think actually OPs are the wheat, not the tares, because if you think about it, to tear from the mundane plane, is what we do on psychedelics. And what were the witches doing who were burnt at the stake? They were alchemists. Alchemy is only performed by souled humans. Organic portals are not even interested in alchemy, only to, you know, the physical ends, to, like, you know, try and turn lead to gold to get rich. You know, that's as far as they go into alchemy, and that's not really alchemy. If you really understand alchemy, that's, you know, not much transmutation. Although apparently there's a video out there of a guy who literally did this, by the way. I wanted to show this video. Someone showed me this a while ago. There's a video out there of someone who actually turned lead to gold for real. So search that up. It actually really apparently happened. Allegedly. Yeah, very allegedly, because you'd think that everyone would be doing it by now. But still, check out the video. Not saying it's true, just allegedly someone actually did do that. But yeah, anyway, back to the idea. Sorry about that little tangent. It's just very interesting. You know, to transmute and alchemize is a spirited, souled human's performance, right? That's what we do. That's not what the organic portals do. They're dumb, dense, and you can part these people like wheat. It's like they're made out of denser stuff than us. Very interesting quote from McKenna, the guy of the Time Wave Zero. And everyone will know he talked about DMT a crap load, didn't he? He focused on DMT out of everything. Like he said, he could have talked about many things like computer programming and bored you with that. But no, he talked about DMT because it was interesting. So, yeah. Anyway, so this was like a little reminder, because Shaman Oaks here has said, oh, I was burnt at the stake. And it just reminded me, yeah, I really think that the tears, you know, were obviously the people who would stuff up. The witches would come down from the mountain from cooking their alchemical brews, making their little, whatever they're doing up there in the mountain, their herbal mixtures, whatever they're trying to do, their witchcraft and all that. You know, yes, there's some dark end to it, and possibly even some of them would have played with some demons and demon energies. But that doesn't mean that they're all bad. That means that they were exploring all of the universe, or all the realms, or all the inner dimensions. You know, not necessarily were they only bad, but I can see if they were, how they were, because everybody outcast them. Just like we know organic portals outcast and ostracize, yeah, us soul humans today, to this day. And we get angry, don't we? There's a lot of like negative, annoyed people who comment under my videos, and some of the main prominent channels discussing organic portals have that energy about them. I'm like the most positive one out there. Aren't I? They're all like very negative and angry at them, and yeah, I am too, but you can't just talk like that the whole time, you know. It gives yourself bad energy. You'll save anger in your liver, and you'll actually degrade yourself. It's like taking a poison. Anyway, I can see how the witches up in the mountain were a little bit evil to the people, right? It doesn't mean they were demons. It's because they're friggin' outcast, and everyone was, you know, disrespecting them, no doubt. And, you know, the organic portal idea is that often organic portals look better on the surface, like their physical body has less blemishes. And, you know, we know the archetype of the witch was the tarry nose, right? Look, like Shaman Oaks' nose, like my nose, was that, and it had like a wart on it, or a blemish, right? And part of the original organic portal theory is that, you know, because there's less, basically this is not said, but I'll tell you, because there's less multidimensional occurrence, in other words, they're not coming crashing down into this dimensional, this physical realm, there's less body blemishes, and they're more cloned in nature. They're more clone-like, right? And we say that often physically, in their physical appearance, organic portals might appear physically more like beautiful and appealing, and more perfect sort of thing in their body. So that's part of the original organic portal theory. And what was the, you know, what's the archetype of the witch nose? It's like a tarry nose with a big wart on it or a blemish, right? So this is all fitting together perfectly. I don't know if you notice this, but this is all fitting together perfect. All of these points I've just given you, however many points, like, I don't know, however many points I just gave you, 5 to 10 different things, they're fitting together very perfectly. So in order for you to, say the opposite, you're going to have to come up with more than a Bible verse. You're going to have to, put in extra like I just did and philosophize over it. Otherwise, you're just unconsciously regurgitating. So that's not what I'm doing here. I'm regurgitating different perspectives and putting them all together so we can reach what appears to me to be the conclusion, or the correct conclusion. So I might reiterate it and conclude it like this. The Bible, for instance, or any religious system is a mass mind control method which kings with motives, or men with motives, of this lower world, men with motives, used to rule over the masses of people, or the masses of the wheat-like people, and that witches and the idea of tares and the Gnostic ring of the word itself gives me the idea of the tearing or ripping of the mundane physical plane, which is what you get every time you take psychedelics. So either we're all visiting demon realms every time we take a psychedelic, and the psychedelic is not good. However, it seems to make us always come to consciousness, and this is some religious people's view of this, that psychedelics are bad, right? And, it's all demons. That is what some religious people do think out there. I've heard them say it in videos. So again, those people appear to me to be the more brainwashed type, not the free-thinking, self-spirited person. They seem to be more the status quo, unconscious regurgitator, and so on. No offense, but this is just how it appears to me. Leave your comments. Tell me why you agree or disagree. Because you're going to have to come up with something, do you understand? Because I just came up with like 10 different things and fit them together perfectly off the top of my head. So if you can't do the same, and all you're going to reply with is, oh, Ben, but the Bible says, that's unconsciousness, that's what organic portals do, right? So you're barking up the wrong tree with that. So, tell me how you think I'm wrong or right, because I think this fits together perfectly. So yes, I'll summarize it. I think the organic portals are the wheat, not the tares or tares.